Hello.
How are you? How are
We
you?
finally
Can you
have
hear
some
me?
beauty on this board. Geez, about time.
You
My
got
God.
James. James did his hair better than me today. How
What
y'all
are what are your
doing?
Never.
thoughts? Good,
Not too
good, good.
depressed? Oh, you're good. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're all good,
We're
then
used to the
I'm
pain.
good. Then I'm good. I
I'm
mean,
dead.
exactly, right? We're used to the pain this year. That is exactly it. So what's been your findings so far so that I don't double on stuff you've already said?
We're still processing a lot of this information. There was so one of the things that we found was energy that margins are improving, which is good. We were just looking at the outlook on how they're calling out Cybertruck being on track. I think what was the other thing? The 3 billion increase in cash was another one that we saw. Um, but a
I think
reduction in gross
auto
margin in
gross
cars.
margin at 17.9%, and yet the
Is good.
cost of goods is improved is very good. I think that's a signal that the cost is now controlled and maybe less price reductions in the future.
Yeah.
Them reiterating the 50% CAGR target, them reiterating Cybertruck going to be hit by the end of this year. We're good. That's the
Yeah.
most
Can
important
I
thing. Outlook.
can I push back on that? Can I push back on that real quick? I'm
Sure.
confused
No.
because oh, okay. I'll just go back into the coffin. Um,
I
so
love your look, Nick.
thank you. About time I get some compliments around here. Um,
You're not gonna
the
get
outlook
compliments from
says
this crew, bro.
the outlook says 50% year over year, right? However,
Yes.
if you go to page 7, we
Wait,
it
wait.
says
Nick, just
yes.
sorry, but look, it says we expect to remain ahead
I
of
know,
the
I know,
long-term
I know.
50% CAGR with around 1.8 million vehicles for the year. That's
Yeah,
fantastic wording.
let me just get to my point though. Um, if you go to page 7, it starts off with California and Texas, and they say we are expecting the Model Y production rate in Texas to grow very gradually from its current levels. If you look at Shanghai, China, it says we are running near full capacity for several quarters, and we do not expect a meaningful increase in weekly production run rate. And then for Europe, it says similar to Texas, further production ramp in Model Y will be gradual. So what does that mean for 2024? Like that's
Hmm.
you see what I'm
It's
saying?
not overly enthusiastic, that's for sure.
Yeah, it seems like they are going to be uh, governing the production rate.
Let's get your thoughts, Alexandra. Were you able to process the deck? Where's your head at?
Not the whole deck, but I thought I'd jump on here because I was like, probably these guys are depressed, but I don't think you're that depressed. So, what I found encouraging was that there is still free cash flow of nearly 1 billion this quarter, right? I mean, we had this discussion over the last couple of weeks, stock buybacks and all that. Forget about all that. But in the last earnings call, Elon had clearly said it's actually astonishing that given our rate of cutting prices and at the same time expanding in so many new product lines, that we still have free cash flow, and we still have free cash flow, right, of about 800 million this quarter. So that was on the good side. Obviously, the 17.9 was a little bit higher than expected. The operating margin of 7.6 gave me a stomach hit because we were at 9.6 last quarter, if I recall it right. So that is, 2% in operating margin lower is not encouraging. It's not something I had expected, especially since the car margin is there. So where did it go? Where did these 2% go? I guess there's a lot in research and development. So that's where I stopped searching and jumped in. So that was my first conclusions. Yeah, 9.6 we were last quarter of operating margin. So
Yeah, and
there we are.
I think we touched on this earlier, but maybe we didn't underline it enough. But they doubled their compute capacity this quarter. That's insane.
Yeah, the
Like,
That's
dojo.
what I'm
that
saying.
is
$2 billion. That's where it went. So it's okay that operating margin went down. What matters is auto gross margin flat,
Which is there.
and their cost, the cost of goods are stabilized. And so I think that
Mm.
that's what the story is. It's
But
like,
I
price cuts going to still happen in future. Probably not. They're investing for the future.
But I do want to highlight though that auto gross margin is actually, if you remove the ZEV credits and the leases, it's down significantly.
Yeah.
It's down significantly. So
Yeah.
so the one thing I was expecting for this quarter to start realizing, even though COGS for the cars are good or are trending lower, we're still not seeing what I thought would be significant cost decreases from the COVID spike in the supply chain. So I'm still
True.
not seeing that. And I know we're ramping Berlin, I know we're ramping Austin and all that stuff. But in theory, as you get more and more cars cranked out of those factories, at some point you should see that to start to flow through. So is that being delayed to later quarters? Is that not going to be realized?
I think the big reason you didn't see that this quarter is because Shanghai was shut down for a significant portion of time, and that is your by far your lowest cost plant. So as that percentage of your overall pie of deliveries shrinks, like that's going to obviously create cost pressure. But for Q4, they should be running kind of full bore the entire quarter, and I think we'll see potentially some pretty meaningful cost increase or cost decreases in Q4 just because you've got the line running the whole time.
So Xander just texted me saying that the Cybertruck delivery begins November 30th, just announced.
Where?
Bloomberg.
So a month later than I thought. So is that the delivery event or is that just customer delivers?
Probably delivery event, I bet. Yeah.
He specifically said November 30th, but in page 13, as I pointed out earlier, it does say it's going to begin in November. So that's the news you guys were saying at the earlier of the stream. You guys were all excited about is them talking about Cybertruck, and here we are. That's happening.
And speaking of Cybertruck, Herbert, on page 7, is this the first time in the pilot production they say over 125,000 capacity for Cybertruck?
Yes.
That's kind of cool to see. I was hoping they'd show something like that for Tesla Semi, like over 50,000, over 20,000, but they still don't have a number on Tesla Semi pilot production. But
Tesla just number. Xander said Tesla account just tweeted out the Cybertruck news.
Oh, on X.
Yeah.
But why is Tesla bearing the lead in this earnings deck? Why do we have to see it in the title of a picture? That's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, that is extremely weird.
Oh, there it is. Let me
Was
go
that
ahead
125?
and
Is that 125? What year was that? Did it say 2024?
No.
It doesn't say. It's the installed capacity.
The run rate.
Yeah.
Or capacity. Yeah.
It's capacity, not run rate.
Also, yeah, correct. Also,
So
for
that's the
everybody who
official
wants,
Cybertruck date. Okay.
And that's pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting to see.
So if you guys want to find this, right on X, one of our mods will post a link here. I can actually post a link right now. It's funny how it says twitter.com at the top. Like, it's like, come on, guys. Cybertruck production remains on track for later this year, with first delivery scheduled for November 30th at Giga Texas. So my guess is them putting out this date means that they're actually confident they're going to hit this date. So sorry, let me go back to that page we were talking about with the Cybertruck.
The second sentence is big. The second sentence is pretty big too.
Okay.
Why did you just
And also the schedule, does that mean that's the event, or does that mean that is just first deliveries?
I think
with delivery scheduled for November 30th. I'm guessing that's a delivery event.
Okay. So it's not a
right?
huge.
Isn't that how it's
worded?
Yeah.
That's
production of our higher density 4680 cell is progressing as planned, and we continue building capacity for cathode production and lithium refining in the U.S. Cool. Yeah. Great.
It's in the deck too. Yeah, that sentence is in the deck too. But not the sentence about delivery on deliveries on the 30th. That's new.
Yeah, this is new. So that's cool. All right, Cybertruck people, we finally got a date. Jeez, about time. That's actually, I can't believe it's here already. Psych, been waiting forever.
I wore my shirt for this occasion.
Fantastic. So now we know we're going to get a ton of questions on Cybertruck on the call. Because that date is set. So I'm assuming that we're going to get a fair number of commentary from them to try and sort of steer the commentary towards a positive light. Okay, let me go back to that slide we were on with the pilot production. So let me go ahead and add these up real quick and see what the number comes out to be.
It's 2.35 million. I was actually just looking at that.
2.35?
Yeah, well, greater than 2.35 because you got those carats in there, but. So, if you compare that to 1.8 million, then that implies a 30.1% or 30.5% increase. But obviously, it won't be exactly like that because the first half of the year they're not going to be running at 125,000 unit capacity out of Cybertruck. So I think it's still a very much open question whether they could do 50% next year, to that question we were talking about earlier. But just looking at the capacity numbers, I would say it doesn't inspire huge levels of confidence, kind of in conjunction with the wording of, a very measured, increase of Model Y capacity in Texas and Berlin. To me, it seems like the more likely scenario is that we do 30 to 40% volume growth next year.
Yeah, how is Berlin and Texas? They've been coming online for like 3 years now. How are they still at like 370? I feel like those are just such slow progress. Is it demand, or are they just slowly ramping up? I think it's got to be demand. I think they should be able to ramp those up more if they wanted to.
It's demand, because Morgan Stanley pointed out that they've decided to keep it at that level. Both factories.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Okay. Yeah. What's the chance that this is a sandbag?
Little.
I think small. Yeah. I mean, Elon's been talking about macro being scary for a long time. And, to me, the puzzle pieces all kind of fit together with that story. So I think they're being cautious with their build out and kind of planning for the long term. And, FSD is going to save the day, whenever they crack that. I think that's kind of the way that he's thinking about the business.